Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Working Title Podcast with Zachary Scott King. Today I am so happy to have the great and powerful Amy Julia Rose. Welcome to the program, Amy.
Thank you so much. Great and powerful. I sound just like the Wizard of Oz.
The great and powerful Amy Julia Rose.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Welcome to the pod, man.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. How are you feeling today?
I am feeling great, excited,
Good.
great and powerful.
Good.
I can't wait to talk about acting and all that jazz.
Me too. It's like my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Right. For the listeners, again, I'm just going to say, like I've said the last two episodes, I have been having some minor technical difficulties with my mics. If it gets all crazy and I will just be recording on my phone. So this is, we were talking before we just started recording, this is kind of giving us flashbacks, working together. My first voice acting job, it probably wasn't yours, but we worked together on a series called Order of Chaos with a K.
Actually, officially, it was my first voice acting job. Like,
Nice.
I have done voice acting before, but never, like, on an actual show that's on IMDb and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, officially, it was my first two.
I think we're good.
Okay. I thought I heard some feedback.
Yeah, no, if it rears its ugly head, I'm just going to use the phone.
All right.
But yeah, Order of Chaos with a K, shout out Omar.
Woo! Love you, Omar!
And that voice acting is something I quickly fell in love with because it's like I don't know. I with voice acting you can really like sink into something in a very different way. I feel like than other types of acting. Like you're really creating a universe. It's so fun.
Yeah, it's really special. I mean, I love all kinds of acting, but voice acting has always been very close to my heart. It's just so cool how, like, there are so many more opportunities
Right.
and so many more things that you can be. Like, I mean, when you're doing physical acting, like with your face, you can't pass as a bunny rabbit. But like in voice acting, you can do the voice of a bunny rabbit, and like I don't know why that's the first thing I thought of, but you can just be more things.
Yes.
And it's just so cool. It's like dressing up in costumes without actually having to change your clothes. Like I've done so many voiceover auditions from my bed in pajamas with like a bad hair day, and it's cool. Like there's a whole layer of like what you look like and how you present yourself, and it completely doesn't matter.
Yeah, and yeah, like you said, it's like there's so many more things you can be. Like you can, there's so many. It's just a lot of fun. So we'll continue to talk about this, but just for the listeners, why don't you tell everybody where you're from? When did you come to LA? I like to get a little background on the guests when they come on the pod.
All right. So I am from Toronto, Canada.
Shout out Toronto.
Woo! The Six!
The Six.
Which means that you and I are sort of neighbors.
Yeah, we're pretty close, man.
Yeah.
I've been to Toronto.
And I have been to New York State many times. I moved to LA 2.5 years ago. And I had always wanted to live here. I grew up coming here for winter holidays because I had relatives who lived in the Hollywood Hills.
Wow.
And it was just so cool. Like, my first time ever coming to LA I was 3 months old. And
you remember it well.
Yeah, like, I was born in September 1999, and I always say, like, I was in LA in the 90s. It was December 1999. I was a baby. I only lived in the 90s for 3 months, but...
The very tail end of the 90s.
Exactly, and I was there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and, like, I had been visiting so many times, and I knew, even when I was 6, that LA is full of artists, and everyone here pretty much is some sort of artist, and a lot of people come here to make art and to surround themselves with other creative people. And I knew that I had to do that. I knew that life in Toronto just wasn't my fit. And I chased my dream, and the way that I did that was applying to study at Stella Adler.
Stella Adler, shout out. Stella Adler gets mentioned quite a bit on the show.
It does, because Stella Adler is the best technique, in my completely non-biased opinion. And I am currently trying to apply for an artist visa, and hopefully I'll be able to stay here for a very long time, because I just love LA so much. And I feel like I skipped over a lot about like my early childhood and stuff. I was just like, I was born in Canada, and then I moved to LA.
Well, no, and yeah, I get it. The appeal of LA is the people, the art scene, the weather is unbeatable.
Oh my God, the weather, yes. I never want to see snow again, never want to get caught in an ice storm again, never want to be walking to school and then like fall on my butt on the ice again. Yeah. Yes, that happened.
Yeah, no, it's hard to think back on the brutal winters. Like it's so nice out here. It's just so nice.
I know. Like even when people say that it's winter time here, I'm just like, you guys don't know what that word means, do you?
I know. It's they have no idea. People out here have no idea what an actual winter is, and like you're not seeing the sun for 7 months, and like
and like that's not even an exaggeration.
That's not even
7
an
months.
Exaggeration, yeah. Also for the listeners, so Amy is a graduate of the Stella Adler program, which is a very prestigious. You're in a very prestigious club of some of the greats, some of the real greats. Would you tell the listeners when you started at Stella? When you were growing up, did you have a background in acting? Like, were you in productions? Did you make things independently? And then you went to Stella, or was Stella your start?
So I have been acting since very, very early childhood. I was in my first play when I was 6. I was in Annie. Mm-hmm. I didn't play Annie. I was in Annie, but it was so fun, and that feeling I wanted to chase it for my whole life. But even before that, like when I was little, I was like writing plays and making up a lot of stories with dolls. I had a big doll collection. And I still do. And I would make elaborate stories with them and like write songs, and I had puppets, and I am the oldest of 3 siblings, so there are numerous plays and musicals and things that my siblings were part of, and I gave them parts, I gave them roles, I taught them how to read stage directions and the rules of not saying no in improv and all of that throughout my life. And I was in tons of plays since my first play, and I went to a camp where I got to be in plays. Actually went to quite a few arts camps. My parents were very nurturing, and they saw that I was interested in the performing arts, and I'm very thankful to them. And I acted all throughout school. I made up plays, and I feel like I'm repeating myself. I'm sorry.
No.
And then after high school, I went to university for theater, and I got my BA in theater studies, but it was very different from Stella. It was like very academic. Yeah. We had to write a lot of essays about theater and all that, like what is performance, what isn't performance. It was like very philosophical. And then they also wanted us to be extremely well-rounded. So there was this one class where one of the questions on the exam was like, if you have like a 2x4 piece of wood and you have to make a set, like what is the area of the wood? And I'm like, I did not sign up to do math. This is like exactly what I don't know how to do. Yeah. And I got I almost failed one of my theater classes because it was all about like woodworking and sewing, which I don't know how to do either of those things.
Yeah.
And I just craved acting and being characters. Like my friends and I used to go to the mall and like dress up in characters and speak in different accents the whole time and like get in Ubers and stuff. Like I just was always acting.
Yeah.
I was always like trying on different personalities and like different names and stuff. Like when I was 5, I insisted that everyone call me Althea, and no one knew where that came from. And I was just always like being different people.
Yeah.
And accents. I always like when I was little and I heard an accent, I was just like, that is cool. I'm
Yeah.
gonna speak in it.
Yeah.
And just
You're amazing with accents. Amy, for the listeners, Amy's like the go-to at Stella. She's helped me. She's helped so many people. Like
Aw.
if you need accent work.
yeah,
Amy,
dialect coaching. I will
yeah,
help you.
You are good, dude.
Thank you.
You're really good with accents.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
I've heard you do so many so well. One of my favorites, one of the standouts for me was when I watched you in Noises Off do the Cockney. That dude,
That was so fun.
you killed.
Still
that,
can't stop saying
dude.
sardines.
That was so good. That whole
Oh
play
my
was
God.
so good. But you were a standout. Like the. That was just such a fun play.
When I first read that script and I saw a Cockney housekeeper, I was just like, I need this part.
that.
I'm gonna cry if I don't get it.
Yeah.
And thankfully, I didn't have to cry because I got it.
Oh, dude,
But-
it was so good. It was like, yeah, that was just, it was incredible.
Thank you, love.
I before I forget, it's just funny what you were just saying, growing up, wanting to be all these different things, and that makes me reflect on. I think it's a similar sort of experience that a lot of actors have.
Yeah.
Where I definitely remember as a young kid, wanting to be all these different things, like all these different professions. Like like when I was in kindergarten, I wanted to be like a mailman. And I wanted to, but I didn't realize until later on it was because like I had watched something on TV of a mailman, like, and I wanted to like play a mailman. That's what it was. And then I wanted to be like a librarian, and then like a fireman, and then because I realized it was because like as I was watching things, I wanted to like play different parts, but that switch hadn't really clicked yet in my brain. I just thought I wanted to like be all these different things, and I was like, no, I want to like play all of these different things. I want to be all these different parts, which is just a funny kind of realization later. So you grew up, obviously you've been just doing all these different theatrical things at home and at school. I actually didn't know that you went to university for theater. That's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that because some people ask me like, oh, why would you go to school for theater and then go to a school for theater again? But like Stella Adler is so different from my other school. It's like I got the chance to act a lot in my school, but there were never any like classes about acting or technique or anything. Like we studied plays. Like I was very familiar with Streetcar, which Stella Adler like is obsessed with.
Yes.
Probably because there's a character named Stella. I don't know. That's my theory. But
Seen Streetcar so many times.
oh my God, yes. If I had a nickel for every time I heard the word Blanche.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was familiar with all the plays and stuff and all the great writers, but like I felt like I was being graded based on how good I could write essays, and I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to be a star.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had some great teachers at that other school, but some of them saw that I wanted to be an actor and they were like weird about it. And yeah, and I'm just thinking like it's good to have a lot of interests and be like a multifaceted person, but acting is my dream, and I know that about myself. And I mean, what you were saying about wanting to play all those different characters but not realizing it, I was kind of like that too. Like when someone asked me what I wanted to be when I grow up, first of all, as a kid, I hated that question. I hated any question relating to growing up because I was scared of growing up. When I was 5, I used to cry because I was like reminiscing about times when I was 3.
That's so funny. That's like
Even the audience thinks it's funny.
That's legitimately really
No,
funny.
when I was turning 6, I was scared because 6 is typically the age where teeth fall out, and I thought that if your teeth fell out, it's closer to dying.
Oh my
I was
God.
a very existential kid. You can ask my parents, you can ask like anyone like in my family. I used to like stay awake
Scared
at
at
night
6.
wondering about God and stuff and worrying about my parents. But yeah, I found a diary entry that I wrote when I lost not when I turned 6. No, I'm sorry. The day before I turned 6, I was like, "Dear diary, tomorrow's my birthday and I'm so scared. What if I die?" And then after that, when I turned 6, I said, "Well, today was my birthday and thankfully I didn't die."
Oh my gosh.
But I forget where that tangent came from. Yeah. I did not like being asked what I wanted to be when I grew up because I was just like, can't I just be a kid? Like when I was 3, I was trick-or-treating and one of the people asked how old I was in that annoying voice that grown-ups use with kids, and I said 3. And then they said, "You're such a big girl!" And then I was like, "No, I'm a little girl!"
Wow, so the existentialism really.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
But I remember when you were saying that, what Tim McNeil said about how acting doesn't have any consequences. Like, you can play someone whose life is completely ruined. And I'm probably like misquoting him, not doesn't have any consequences, something like that. You can play someone who has an absolutely horrible life and everything's going wrong, and then second that the camera turns off or like the audience starts clapping, then you don't have that weight on your shoulders anymore. And you can just try on all these different characters and wear all these different hats, and then you can just go back into your normal life.
Do you ever struggle with that? Do you ever struggle with trying to live in a space, X amount of times where you almost run into like tricking your brain to be like upset or tricking your brain to be.
Yes.
I've had almost like a hangover, like an acting hangover sometimes, like with like a. It's I think some people struggle with that and some people don't, but I've found I can like trick my brain into being really upset.
Yeah.
And then I'm really upset kind of. And
well, that's a sign of a great actor. First of
well,
all.
I don't know, but I definitely have experienced that. Like,
No, it's like there are characters that are exhausting.
yeah,
There are characters that take a lot out of you.
yeah,
Not just because they're hard on your voice, but
yeah.
yeah, like.
Do you want any water, by the way?
I would love some
Yeah,
water.
I'm gonna pause. Listeners, we're gonna pause. I should have gotten my lovely guest some water.
That's okay.
We'll be right back. And we're back. We all have water. It's just a quick
hydration.
water break. Water break.
Okay, what were we talking about? Oh yeah,
have
characters
no
that are
idea. Yes.
characters that are exhausting to play.
Yes.
I don't want to give any spoilers for anything that anyone wants to watch me in, but I played a character whose dog died, and that was extremely hard for me because my sweet baby Caramel, my first ever dog, is no longer with us. And I was thinking of her, and when I was recording the lines, like I wasn't even trying. It's just the idea of a dog passing away is just very difficult for me to even think about without crying. Like I'm feeling emotional now.
Yeah.
But I was just like crying while I was recording, which made the character real. They were like organic tears because they came from a real place. But then like after we finished recording the episode, I was just like, excuse me for a minute, and I went into the other room and finished my cry.
Yeah.
But it was really hard. And I mean, I'm a comedic actor. My favorite roles are like comic relief and like silly, wacky characters. And I feel like that's probably because dramatic like characters that had a sad thing happen to them are very close to home. For someone who presents as a funny person, I'm a huge crybaby. I cry
a lot
all
too.
the time.
I cry a lot too.
That's why we're such good friends.
Music makes me cry a lot.
Oh my god, same. A certain chord will just like strike something in me, and I'm just like, and there are some songs that I can't listen to.
Yeah, no, music can really dig into me.
Yeah, if anyone plays the end of Abbey Road in my vicinity, I have to run away. Just reminds me of the Beatles breaking up, and like they could have just like they could have ended like with a normal song, but they made it so dramatic and they called it the end. Yeah. No, don't sing it. I'm gonna cry. But oh my god, no! Just if their last song was like, I don't know, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, it wouldn't be as bad. Actually, it would probably make me emotional. I don't know. No, because I grew up listening to that song.
Yeah, with the acting stuff, like the brain is a very fickle thing, and it's like you can convince it of many things. You can convince your brain of many things. You can convince it that you're happy. You can convince it that you're sad. You can convince it that you're going through duress. It's just very interesting. Um,
Yeah,
it
that
might
reminds sorry, that
no
that
no.
reminds me of something. Sometimes when I'm in a emotional scene and I'm crying or like I'm supposed to be crying, right when I feel the tears coming, my brain plays a trick on me and it goes, "Hey, you're acting in a movie and you're crying." And then I stop crying.
Mm,
Like right when I'm about to like have an organic emotion, my brain just cuts in. It's just like, "You're
mm,
acting."
yeah.
And I
Well,
hate that. It's an intrusive thought. And it happens whenever I'm about to do really good dramatic acting where they like do a close up on my eyes and a tear is about to come. And then the tear, like, as if it's like being played in reverse, it goes like whoop, back into my eye. And it's like jokes.
yeah, no, it's so well. It's really quite something when, especially if you're on camera. But it's pretty much the same on stage, where it's like you have the physical reminder of that, like something is happening. Like if there's a camera right in your face, it's really hard to quiet your mind, like or like shut that off.
No, that's
Um,
why I find stage acting easier. Like, I only really started camera acting more recently. Like, I've been acting on stage since I was 6, but
mhm,
on camera is something that I really only started when I came to Stella.
mm,
And it's hard when there's a camera on your face because I'm trying to imagine that there's a fourth wall.
yeah,
Because, like, I grew up hearing terms like, don't break the fourth wall,
yeah.
and, like, space work and all that. And now that there's a camera in my face, like, and I heard one time someone asked me, like, oh, do you want me to, like, bring you some fake tears? I'm like, people do that? It's all cheating? It's all fake? It's,
I've heard people use I never have, but people use like the tear sticks.
yeah.
You can like rub some, I don't know, like,
The idea of putting that in my eye would make me cry anyway, so I probably wouldn't have to.
yeah, well, whatever. Am I correct in that your family has some acting ties?
Yes,
Like,
we do.
yes.
So my grandfather was an actor, and he started acting when he was 40, which
That's
is
so cool.
yeah, which is crazy because the first play that he auditioned for, it was a musical. It was Carousel. He got the lead role,
Wow.
and he like got a standing ovation, and the audience members were like crying and
Wow.
like audibly, and they would like come to him like 30 years later in Canadian counterpart of CBS, and and they would be like, "Excuse me, were you in Carousel? I remember you." Like they wouldn't even ask him, like, "I remember you. You
Wow.
performed in this play. You made me cry." And I loved hearing him tell me stories about that. And he
Mm.
was in Camelot. He played King Arthur.
Wow.
And I'm just so honored to have grown up with such a great influence. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, he passed away
Oh, I'm
last
sorry.
year. And it's been very hard. I'm still grieving,
Yeah.
but like some of my best memories with him are when he sang to me. He would always sing songs from musicals, and he had this
Mm.
amazing operatic voice. He sounded like Frank Sinatra,
Really?
and he like I'm at a loss for words. I miss
Yeah,
him.
yeah, I bet, man. I'm
But
sorry.
yeah, and my aunt is an actor too. She
Really?
and my papa, my grandfather, used to act in plays together.
Nice.
Both my aunts. My mom is one of 3 sisters, and
Okay.
both of her sisters, they also acted. My mom did not, but that's okay. It's not
Yeah.
for everyone.
Yeah.
My dad he played Danny in Grease when he was 19.
Wow.
Which is so cool. Grease is my favorite movie growing up and still is. That's so funny that you mentioned that because whenever I was little and watching that, when that song came on, my dad would always do his choreography from the play. And whenever Sandy came on, he would sing it. But it's funny because my dad can't really sing anymore.
Mm.
It's like my parents both don't sing. And I'm just like, wait, how come you knew how to sing when you were Danny? And it's like, I don't know. But there are no videos. I would love to see a video of him acting, but
Well, that's actually great that you said that, because I want to segue into, let's talk about your musical talents as well.
oh,
Amy is a wonderful musician and a singer-songwriter.
thank you.
And you've been performing lately.
I have.
Yeah, you've been everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And just why don't let's talk about that for a little bit. Let's talk about music for a little bit.
So that's an interesting segue because there are a lot of musicians in my family too.
Mm.
Everyone in my family can play an instrument, which I think is really cool. I grew up hearing a lot of music, and yeah, like growing up, there was always music playing in my house. When I was 3, I was introduced to like Ella Fitzgerald, not personally, like my parents put her music on for me. Yeah, Ella Fitzgerald, Duke Ellington. I love those jazz musicians.
Me
and
too.
and like my parents used to change my diaper to the Yellow Submarine soundtrack in the background. And
Wow.
Hey Bulldog was one of my first ever favorite songs.
Wow.
And so I just like grew up surrounded by music, and so it's no surprise that I play 4 instruments and I sing and I write songs, and I wrote my first song when I was 4, and I've been writing songs ever since in all different kinds of genres. People ask me what kind of style of music I do, and I never know how to answer that question. I'm just like, yes.
Yeah.
But it's hard because, you know, as an immigrant, I'm not really able to pursue music, which sucks because, like, acting and music go together, like ram-a-lam-lam-a-ka-ding-a-ding-a-dong, speaking of Grease. But it sucks. It's like the visa that I'm trying to get is for acting because it has to be in the field that I studied in America, which is acting. And like it used to be like a performing arts visa, and I was like, oh, that's cool. So I can't
But
really
now
like
it has
seek
to
out
specifically be acting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like I can't seek out work as a musician or like anything like that. I mean, whenever I see a flyer saying like band looking for a drummer, I just take a picture of it anyway, and I'm just like, I'm gonna see if I can find a loophole around this. But it sucks because it's just like I was at a red carpet for musicians, but like my acting publicist took me there, and people were just like, "Oh, are you a musician too?" And I wanted to say yes, but I was feeling like imposter syndrome, even though I shouldn't, because I've been playing music since I was little. Like I started taking piano lessons as a toddler. Like I should be able to say I'm a musician, you know?
Yeah.
But it's hard. Like America, immigration making you choose between your 2 biggest passions.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
So what will you are in the process right now, the visa process, right?
Mhm.
And time frame wise, what can you expect?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know. I finished my OPT. For those of you who don't know, it's the time between graduating and applying for your visa. And so that time expired on April 25th, but I have a grace period of 60 days. And because I am making a short film called The Diamonds, soon to be released.
I know a guy that was in the Diamonds.
Yeah?
His name is Zach.
That's
Oh,
so
his name's
funny. He
Zach
looks
King.
a lot like you.
Oh, I've heard he's just a real asshole.
Well, he plays one.
Yeah.
Mispronouncing everyone's name and whatnot. Lena and Iris, who are they? Yeah, but I don't want to do anything until that film comes out because it was a labor of love. And I co-wrote, co-composed, co-directed, and co-starred in it.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Shout
a
out
pretty
you.
big deal. I mean, I've been doing a lot of big things to try to make my visa application stand out. Like I put on a series of my original one-act plays called Are You Mad at Me?
That was for our listeners.
Starring someone else I know.
So that was one of the most fun evenings ever. Amy wrote and directed 5 plays. I was involved in 3 of them.
4 of them.
4
right?
of them. 4 of them.
Calm Down, Simran, Picasso, and Maureen.
Yeah, and
Commandments.
And it was just one of the most fun nights ever. That was just an absolute blast. You're so talented.
Aww.
Yeah.
It was so hard to put together. I don't think I'm cut out to be a director.
Oof, I can't imagine. Yeah, we would just organizing and getting everybody to be able to have time to rehearse and all that stuff is a beast, dude.
Yeah,
It's
like it
such
was
a
fun, but I'm
beast.
glad it's over, and I see
Yeah.
why people have like separate people to do like scheduling and stuff. I see why
Yeah.
there's like director, assistant director, producer, stage manager, assistant producer,
Yeah.
assistant stage manager. Like it was very ambitious of me to try to do all of those things, direct,
Yeah.
write, and all of that. And people were like, "Oh, are you acting in any of them?" And I was just like,
Yeah.
"That would be another thing." So no, I'm gonna let my friends shine.
Well, for the if there are any immigration agents listening to this, you should let this person be an American.
Yeah.
Because let this person get a visa because she's killing it.
Thank you.
Um,
I promise if you let me get my visa, I'll I was gonna say write a song with your name in it, but I guess they don't want me to write songs because they only want me to act. So
Yeah, what the heck?
I'll write a play with your name in it. I'll put Simran out and I'll replace Simran with their name.
Will you? So if you get what is it? If you get the visa, you have 3 years for what is it?
I think I have 1 year and then I have to reapply every year.
Every year.
God, it sucks. It sucks, but the things I do for LA, I love LA.
Yeah, I really like LA too.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, like if you when you go like year by year, will you be able to work in music at all?
No, it still has to be acting. I don't know. I think that when I get my visa, I'm just gonna try to do the green card lottery.
Yeah.
If anyone out there knows any other ways to get a visa, let me know, please.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Email at the Working Title Podcast is Zachary Scott King at yahoo.com. No, I'm just kidding. That's not a real email.
You should make one.
Yeah, I should make a business email.
Yeah. When I was living in Italy, my visa process was so much easier. Like I just went into the consulate and I applied and they're like, "Here you go."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Hey, can you expedite it cuz I got this job?" And they're like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
So
not like that here, huh?
Not like that here.
Well, I think so you have a 60-day grace period right now. That's where you're at. Well,
yeah.
Oh.
Stress. Lots of stress. I wake up every day and I'm just like, have I submitted auditions today? And if not, I'm just like, well, I didn't do what I was supposed to do. And I'm like, did I do anything creative today? And it's just hard. And then people are saying, oh, you should get a job. And I'm like, don't you think I would like that?
Yeah. You went to, when you were at Stella, you did it 2 years straight, right? Just no breaks.
All international students have to do the 2-year program.
And so you were on a student visa.
Yeah.
Yes. And then now that's why this process is happening, because after school is done, now you have to be in the
it's like because the student visa, the school takes care of it, so I don't really have to do anything. I just sign up for the school and they're like, here's your visa.
Yeah.
But now it's different because not everyone on the artist visa was a student. It's like you have to show that you are moderately famous enough to be an important, extraordinarily talented person. And it's hard. I don't like talking about myself, but I am supposed to make it look like I am the biggest deal ever.
Yeah.
And I have to like get recommendation letters from people, and it is so daunting to ask people for recommendation letters.
Yeah.
I'm 25 and it's just intimidating when there's someone who's like so much older than you with more experience, who's like been on famous TV shows, and I'm like, hey, can you write me a letter?
Yeah.
And it's just so hard.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't like the feeling. I'm just here to make art. I'm not here to ask people to do things for me.
Yeah, I feel you.
And I'm such a big caretaker. I love helping other people. Yeah. I used to be a teacher. I like asking for help is hard.
Yeah, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
On diving a little bit back into the acting stuff, I just want to pick your brain about a few other things. Like, I'm always fascinated to hear someone's process, and like a lot of people who have come on here have kind of given this premise, this scenario. Like, if you could kind of give the listeners sort of inside look at how your brain works when you prep for something. Like, so,
Mm.
like, let's say we're doing. It can be on stage, or it can be on camera. We're doing some sort of project, and you are prepping for a character that you've been casted as. What is your go-to, like, from square one? You've gotten the script, you've gotten your character. Go.
Well, first of all, I'm very excited that I got the part.
Yeah.
That is not often something that happens.
Yeah.
Auditioning is like a job, and getting a part is like getting paid. So I've
Yes.
heard an acting teacher tell me.
Elizabeth, the last episode with Elizabeth, she said that same thing, which is so true. Auditioning is the job, getting the part is the reward.
Well, guess what? She and I were in the same class when the teacher said that to us.
Yeah,
And
that's so true.
We both clearly stored it in our minds together.
It's so true.
But yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. After getting excited about getting the role,
Right.
I looked through the whole script. And this is an Adler thing. So I'm sure other people have said this too. I go through the script and I make 2 columns. What other people say about the character and what the character says about themselves. And I do that. And based on just finishing those lists, I have a better understanding of the character. And I always try to come up with like a character walk, a character voice, certain mannerisms, like the way the character says certain things. Like I try to talk like that. Like if they have like a certain ism, like if they say a specific word in their sentence, I'll just try using that word in my vocabulary and just really get into the character's body. And I'll make drawings of the character of like what they look like or like what they would wear or how they would wear their hair, because I love going all out with costumes and I don't necessarily like characters that look and sound like me. I mean, my character in the Diamonds is kind of me, but also not me. Like I made sure to make her a little bit different so she wouldn't be exactly like me. But I mean, I gave her like a boho chic like fashion sense, and I dress like a hippy dippy. So that's kind of similar to me. But I do like the chance to look and sound completely different because that's one of the most fun parts about acting.
Yeah.
And as for memorizing my lines, people laugh when I tell them this. I like to do voice memos of me reading the entire script with my like scenes that I'm in, of course. And for every other character, I will assign them a different voice, like a weird voice or like some sort of accent that doesn't make sense. Like when I was in Hay Fever, I like gave everyone in my cast a different voice, and they did not.
Hay Fever was
thank you
great.
very much.
Hay Fever was great, dude. Sorry, continue. It was great.
Hay Fever was great, and I am definitely here to talk more about it because I still have all my lines memorized, and
Do you really?
I live in the past, and that was the best. I loved it so much. Sorry, I just ruined the microphone probably. Yeah. So I would make recordings, and everyone in my cast had a different voice, and it had nothing to do with the way that they sound in normal life. But like I would just give every other character voices that sounded like this, like this, and then I would just be like, of course I would talk like this because this was my character, and then but everyone else's voice would be like really weird, so that I would make a voice memo and like listen back to it, and then I would remember who's speaking because I was like, oh, Russian accent, that's so and so. German accent, that's so and so. High-pitched, whiny Caillou voice, that's so-and-so. Like, that sounds like yes! That's so-and-so. Like,
Yeah.
I would just assign weird voices because it, like, associating it helps me memorize it better. And then, like, I would know what my cues are. Knowing your cues is just as important as knowing your lines. And then,
Totally.
and, like, if I had lines that were, like long monologues, and this is for, like, everything, if it's a really, really long monologue, especially if it's Shakespearean, I would turn it into a song because it's in iambic pentameter. I mean, most of the ones that I learned are. So iambic pentameter is like, and it rhymes. So it's, what does this remind me of? A song. So I would just turn it into a song.
That's cool.
Yeah, like all the Shakespeare monologues I know have tunes to me. And
that's great.
yeah, either that or like I would just like do weird things with my voice. Like I would go like, really high and really low on certain words just so that I can like pinpoint the landmarks. Because like having a sort of like musicality, even if it's not musical, even if it's just like
or like rhythmic.
Yeah, like even if it's just like weird sounds, I associate it with that, and then I'm like, oh, what word comes next? It's like this one, even though it's And sorry if I ruin everyone's ruin everyone's ears just now.
I've done that with some physicality too. Sometimes if there's a really beefy monologue, I'll break it down. I'll break it into segments where like if I like I'll do a specific movement at one part in the monologue it'll be like, okay, I'm a third of the way through probably if I straighten up my posture, or like I've done that too. It's the same idea.
Yeah, it's like a dance.
Yeah, it's like like a physical landmark where you are at, in like I totally know what you mean.
Landmarks are the best.
Yeah.
They help a lot.
Yeah. That's awesome. Did you do a lot of Shakespearean training when you were at university?
I did. I actually was introduced to Shakespeare when I was 8.
Wow.
Because I started a new school when I was in the 3rd grade, and this school was very focused on Shakespeare. They taught Shakespeare, like they taught Romeo and Juliet to kindergartners. And we would have Shakespeare Day. We would have Shakespeare plays. I was in King Lear when I was 11.
Wow.
It was so fun. I got to do fencing. It was so cool. And unfortunately, I was one of the only characters who didn't die, and I really wanted to die. I've just always loved dying on stage. It's like the opposite of how I am in real life. I'm so scared of death. But in the Jacksonian, when I died, that was so fun. I loved it. I read the script, and I was like, oh, she dies. I want to be her. Anyway, Shakespeare. And so growing up in Toronto, 2 hours away is Stratford, Ontario. And Stratford is named after the place where Shakespeare was born. And they have a Shakespeare festival. And I grew up going to it. And it was just so cool. And the way that the plays were done, the stage was like a round sort of stage. It wasn't like in the center of it wasn't like a theater in the round. Yeah. It was like there was a stage, but like people could like watch on all sides of it. So there was a backstage. Anyway, it was just so cool. I love Stratford. And at my university, there was the opportunity to take classes with teachers from the Stratford Festival, which was so cool. So I learned like Shakespearean speech, Shakespearean voice, Shakespearean diction.
Wow.
And thanks to that, I feel like I can say with confidence that I am fluent in Shakespearean English.
Wow.
Which is so cool. Like I love that. I love Shakespeare. I love the way that he uses words to mean other words. Like I had an assignment at my university where I had to use a word 4 times and have it mean 4 different things. Like in the style of Shakespeare's wordplay. And I forget what word I chose, but my teacher really liked it. Wow. And that was such a fun assignment.
That is really fun.
Yeah.
Before I forget, I'm backtracking a little bit to like the dying on stage thing, because I'll forget if I don't say. My first role ever, I guess. I think this is my first role ever, because when I was growing up, I did plays like for my elementary school in my church, and then there was this theater group, Orpheus Theater, but I think my first ever role, if it wasn't my first, it was one of the first. I played Augustus Gloop in Willy Wonka.
No way! My second ever play I was in was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah, and so what we did when he dies in the Chocolate River was we had like a hula hoop at the base with like some fabric running up to the ceiling, so it was like a tube and a kiddie pool.
Oh my!
I fell into the kiddie pool and like shimmied my way into.
That must have been so fun, but I'm disappointed that it wasn't a real chocolate river, because I was gonna be like, that must have been such a cool prop to eat.
Yeah, if only if it was real chocolate. It was this kiddie pool. This was at Center Street Elementary School, the Purple Pandas. Shout out Center Street.
That is the cutest team name ever.
No longer a school, so there's a dying breed, the Purple Pandas. It's no longer an elementary school, so in rarefied air there. And yeah, so shout out Center Street, the Purple Pandas, Augustus Gloop. That was my first death on stage.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Death by Chocolate River.
Death by
Death by
Chocolate.
Hula Hoop and Kiddie Pool.
Yeah, I shimmied into the hula hoop in the pool, and it was so funny.
Oh my god, I love
think that was my first ever. Like I did a bunch of stuff. I think we did Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. We did like Peter Pan.
Ooh.
We did like and I don't know, but I'm pretty sure Augustus was my first.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is such a cool first role.
Yeah.
Augustus Gloop. I love that guy.
My sister was an actress growing up as well, a really good one too. And I remember to this day, she's 5 years older than me. So I think I was in probably kindergarten and she was in 6th grade. And I think she played the Wicked Witch of the West.
Ooh, that's a fun part.
And killed it. I remember it to this day. Like,
Aww.
killed it. And at the end, she was a dancer too. She's a ballerina. And at the end, like when the witch evaporates or whatever, she like
I'm melting.
Yeah, melting. I just remember I remember that at Center Street as well. My sister doing the Wicked Witch of the West.
Aww.
That was a standout. She killed it. Yeah.
That's so special.
But yeah, no longer a school. Center Street's no longer a school. It's like a district office now or something for like the.
That's so sad.
There's-
I hate seeing like places I went to as a kid no longer existing, and sadly because of COVID that happened to my childhood dance academy, and I had so many great memories there.
It does suck when that happens.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, so what year did you move to LA?
2022.
2022. So COVID was still around, but it was on the.
It's interesting because COVID in Ontario lasted the longest, and it was like there were more lockdowns there than anywhere.
Yeah.
But I got to leave Ontario early because in September 2021, I moved to Italy. And I was there for a year until September 2022. And people were like not really wearing masks in public there. But I mean, COVID was definitely a thing there.
Yeah.
But it was like it ended and like the restrictions were lifted faster. I mean, I wore a mask whenever I taught. I worked with kindergartners and they were absolutely adorable, but like they would always like come up to me and hug me and then announce that they had a cold and then wipe their nose on me because they're babies and they don't wash their hands, but that's okay. It was like coming to a class full of fluffy little puppies wagging their tails, and it was the best experience ever, and I miss them so much.
Yeah, that's cute.
Yeah, and then when I taught the older kids, they had masks on. And then on the last day of school, they had announced I don't need to wear a mask anymore. I took it off, and then the kids' parents who knew me were like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "I'm Maestra Amy," and they're like, "You are?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm just not wearing a mascarina."
It's funny. Like I was in AmeriCorps from 2021 to 2022, and we were traveling all around the United States, and it was a very interesting experience to go state to state and to see how COVID was handled state to state. Excuse me, all tongue tied. It was depending on where we were, it was just like a completely different reality.
Was it like north versus south kind of differences, or was it just like individual states were all?
Here's the thing. It was like, so when I was living in New Orleans.
I love New Orleans.
I love New Orleans.
It's one of my favorite cities.
New Orleans. Ding, ding, ding. I love New Orleans so much. I had some of the best times of my whole life are in New Orleans. We're in New Orleans. And in New Orleans, there were things like if you had to show your vaccine passport
Oh yeah,
get
we
into
have that
stuff,
in Italy.
to get into restaurants, to get into stuff like that. But then, like when we moved to Nashville, I lived in Nashville for a while. Shout out Nashville! Like, best, some of the best times of my life for real. Um, it was like COVID like wasn't really even a thing. Like
Interesting.
it was, I guess, but like there weren't like definitely not masking and definitely not signs like for like distancing and definitely not things like that. There were things like in AmeriCorps you had to do a separate amount of volunteer hour. You had to do a certain amount of volunteer hours outside of work. So like the only thing really COVID related I remember in Nashville was like one of the volunteer events we had to work at had some restrictions and things like that, but really nothing else, like not much. And then I was living in Kentucky. I was living in Mammoth Cave National Park, which was a completely different experience because I was living in the national park.
Like in a cave?
I wish. We were living in these cabins that were built that usually like seasonal employees work at, like seasonal rangers. They have like these cabins in the park. We were living there, and that was totally different because we were pretty isolated from the outside world. But just it was just very interesting moving around the different places and seeing, how it was handled. It was just a very interesting experience. Um, but anyway, so now that you've been in LA since 2022,
Mm-hmm.
and have you noticed any changes in the acting world in the time that you've been here in terms of like things starting to happen again? I feel like things are starting to happen
Yeah.
again. Like things are up and running again, which is really nice. The first year was tough. There was the strike. There was all that stuff, but I feel like things are starting to move.
Yeah, I
again.
mean, the strike was, it was very, like, sad, but it didn't actually affect me directly because I was a student, and as a student, I wasn't allowed to act and be paid for it. I was only allowed to start getting paid after I graduated, but we are still sort of feeling the remnants of the strike. I mean, one of my favorite shows, Big Mouth, has not had new episodes for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And in October, I was like, this is the time of year when Big Mouth comes out, and it didn't come out, and I was like, aw.
That happened with the show Euphoria too, right?
Yeah,
The next season isn't until like 2026 or something.
That's crazy.
And
like,
it's been like 4 years. It's been like 3 years.
it's just so hard,
it's
and it's why a
unfortunate.
lot of
Like,
people
what
are
can you
doing
do?
independent stuff,
Yeah.
but then even that is hard, like as we talked about before, trying to like make your own thing, because then you have to like find a bunch of people to do all the camera and tech stuff, and when you think that you're able to do all of it, you're not, because I know that from experience. But part of me is just like, I should have moved to LA like earlier, but then another part of me is like, I'm glad I did now, because the way that life works out, like if I had moved before, I wouldn't have ever lived in Italy, and that was a special experience, and I probably would not have like met a lot of the friends that I know now. I would have known entirely different people, and my friend group would have been different. I would have been in a different place. Like, what would have happened with COVID? What if COVID had happened like while I was on my OPT and I wasn't able to go home or see my family for like 2 years?
Yeah.
And I honestly believe that everything happens for a reason,
I do
and
too.
there are no coincidences. I'm very like connected to.
Awesome!
Agreed.
too.
It is awesome. Like, I believe in supernatural experiences. I have seen a ghost at Stella.
Really?
Well, I've
Stella's
witnessed a
definitely
ghost.
haunted,
Stella's
dude.
full of ghosts. I was in Tim
no
McNeil's
doubt.
class
Yeah.
in character, and then the door was like latched, and then it unlatched, and then opened for a bit, and Tim was like, "Oh, hi, Stella."
Dude.
I was like, "How can you be so calm about that?"
If any place has ghosts, it's Stella Adler. No doubt, dude. Some like Phantom of the Opera, like.
And I love it. I
Yeah.
love ghosts. And about like everything happening in the time that it's happening now, I am doing The Artist's Way. Have you heard of The Artist's Way?
Mm-mm.
So
Maybe.
it's this book that like it's it's not exactly a self-help book, but it's like it's full of these exercises that help you like get over artist block and recover as an artist.
Cool.
Because all of us have had people tell us that making art is not a worthwhile thing to do, and people have criticized us and like criticized our creativity so many times. And a lot of the exercises have to do with like going into your childhood and like remembering people who supported you and people who didn't support you, and like and one of the exercises is writing out different lives. Like if things lives if things had turned out differently, like what would you be doing? And I was like writing about different lives, but it got me feeling really sad and depressed. I didn't know why. And then I realized that in most of those lives, my path with my kitty, Lorenzo, would never have crossed. And he's so special to me. And I got him when I was in my 3rd term at Stella. And I was just feeling really lonely and sad and missing having pets because I have a dog back home. And I was like, lost my train of thought. Choo-choo, there it is. And then a friend of a friend had posted on their Instagram story, we found this baby kitten. He's very cuddly and affectionate, and he needs a home, and we can't keep him. And I'm a dog person. I never would have imagined myself having a cat, but I saw the words cuddly and affectionate, and I'm like, those are dog words. I need this kitty. So I got the kitty. I messaged them and I was like, I'm interested. Then I was like, Mom, can I have a cat? And thankfully, my parents were okay with it. And even though they lived in a different country, I still felt obligated to ask them permission because I'm a good girl. And Lorenzo is just the sweetest baby. Everyone who knows him loves him so much.
Shout out Lorenzo.
Shout out Lorenzo.
Cheers for Lorenzo the cat.
And he has the personality of a dog. He comes when I call him. He plays fetch. He is so sweet. Like, he plays the piano. He's adorable. Like, whenever I'm playing music, he'll always play with me. And he gives me massages every night and wakes me up with kisses every morning.
I never grew up with pets, but my mom is allergic to both cats and dogs, so we never had them, which is fine. I never really thought anything about it. I've only really had one pet in my life, but I was living with my ex-girlfriend, and she had a cat named Pete, and he was the man. He was like 19 pounds. He was a big cat, and same thing. It was like a dog. He liked attention, like he liked to be cuddled. And when you'd come home from work, he'd run up to the door, like when you'd come in.
Lorenzo does that too. Like, I always have to open the door slowly because his snout's in the door. He's trying to sniff me and give me cuddles.
I've never had a pet other than that, but my only experience was very good.
Aww.
Actually,
pets are so special.
Actually, that's not true because my parents built in their backyard. They built a little like pond, like they filled it with water and have fish. So they have goldfish in their pond. So I guess we did have pets.
That's so nice.
The fish.
My first pet was a goldfish too. Her name was Emily.
Shout out to my parents' fish. So getting back to the acting a little bit, where do you see? I have a few questions that again I like to pick different actors' brains about. If you had a dream job, if you had like a dream role or a dream gig, stage, camera, voice,
I already know what I'm gonna say.
Voice, animated,
Ding, ding.
comedy, drama. If you had the best of all worlds, like what do you think would be your dream project? Like
voice actor on a kids show.
Voice actor on a kids show.
I want to be like recurring characters, plus like I want to be like Hank Azaria and Harry Shearer, where they do like all the voices on The Simpsons. Like they, like people who do like recurring characters, but also like any other characters, which is kind of what I am on the Order of Chaos with the K. Like I'm Sam, but then I'm also like all the Marthas and all the other characters.
For the listeners,
Like
go check out a series that both of us are in. It's called The Order of Chaos with a K.
you spell chaos with a C, but you add with a K.
With a K, yeah. It's really fun. We have the first season done. The second season is on the way. And it's just a lot of fun. So go check out the Order of Chaos with a K.
Another dream job is Muppeteer. Like I grew up watching Sesame Street. I love puppets. I love dolls. I am definitely not scared of them like some people are. But I would just love to do that because I love looking at how like they're pieces of felt, but you can make so many emotions with them. Like you can have them like slowly turn and stare at the camera and be like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just so cool. I like whenever I pass the Jim Henson building, I'm just like, someday I'll work there. And I live right near the Disney Animation Studio, and I'm like, someday I'll work there.
You will, dude.
And one of my jobs that I wanted when I was 14 was to be like an official Disney songwriter or like voice of Disney princess, and like that would just be so cool.
Yeah.
And I love people like June Foray and Mel Blanc and Nancy Cartwright and people whose voices that you've heard so many times in so many different things. And Tara Strong, she and I went to the same high school many years apart. But if I ever got the chance to meet her, I would probably faint out of excitement. Like, just like all of the people who I look up to are like funny comedic actors or voice actors.
Yeah.
I just would love to meet them and laugh our heads off together.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I know we already talked a little bit about the voice acting thing, but it really is so fun, and it's such a good gig. It's such like a I was talking about this with a buddy of mine back in New York just a few weeks ago. Like it's really cool to literally be able to build a new universe with it, like you can. I mean, you can do that with physical acting and stuff, but like it requires a lot. If you're really going into like a Marvel universe or like a whatever, the voice acting stuff, you can like literally build a new world.
Yeah, like when you're a voice actor, you won't have to worry about directors telling you to like change the way you look in any way, or like cut and dye and shave your hair, or like, I don't know, like do some sort of makeup that'll give your skin a weird reaction. Like in voice acting, you just have to show up and let your voice do all the work.
Yeah, it's really great. So that would be kind of like your dream role. That's great. What while you were at Stella, I was hoping that you could tell the listeners about a time where you felt a particular struggle with a character, and a time that you felt like you absolutely hit a home run, where you're just like, I have this character and I could just do this all day long. And then if you could tell them about a character where it really took a lot of effort for you, like it was noticeably harder than others.
I have a lot of struggles. How am I going to narrow it down? Character that was easy-ish for me. I mean, characters are never really easy. If it's easy, then it's not fun. But the one that I was really able to feel comfortable in was Judith Bliss in Hay Fever.
Shout out, Hay Fever.
I just felt like once I had her... I feel like I'm with Sam from iCarly. It's like with Judith, I felt like once I had her, I could just stay in there and I didn't have to worry about breaking character, because she is just she's mean. She's horrible to people, which is different from me because I am a nice person.
You're a nice person.
But yeah, Judith does not hide when she is not nice to someone. But the thing that we do have in common is that we love to act. Like, I was literally playing an actor, and she was just like, she had this little like monologue about like how it feels to be under the lights and stuff. And I was performing, and I was on a stage under the lights looking at the audience, and I was just like,
Yeah.
I was
Actor
talking about the audience
inception.
while looking at the
Yeah,
audience, so
yeah.
I didn't feel disconnected from looking at the audience. I felt like I was fully her.
Yeah.
But a character that was hard would have to be in scene study class. I had a few hard characters. Um, I would have to say one of them was Frankie from Frankie and Johnny.
Mm.
That was difficult because she's going through like a crisis with like a lot of different things in her mind, and then she also has this guy in her house and not sure how she feels. And like I don't know, it was just difficult for me to get into her,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt disconnected a lot. And it wasn't necessarily because she was so different from me. It was like having such a complex inner monologue
Mm.
and doing that while also focusing on Johnny being in the room with me. It
Yeah.
was hard.
Gotcha.
Scene study is always hard though. They like to challenge you in those classes.
Yeah. Yep. It is definitely a challenge. Um, and so if you were to give the younger version of yourself, or not even yourself, you can answer that if you want, but as
Mhm.
somebody who um thinks that they've been bitten by the acting bug, what
Best bug.
what I love those bugs, those acting bugs. What kind of advice would you give someone who like definitely thinks that they have an interest in acting but don't really know what to do with it, or how to, or like what where to go, or what path to take, or how to get started? What would you tell someone like that?
I would say if you know that acting makes you feel good, if you know that acting makes you feel happy, keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
If you find something that you love doing, stopping it is going to make you miss it. It's going to make you sad. Keep chasing that feeling.
Yeah.
Act as much as you can.
Yeah.
Go out in public and do improv.
Yeah.
Like, acting is so scary because people are watching you and you are completely responsible for their reactions. You're putting on a show for them.
Yeah.
Like, when I am acting, when I'm doing comedy, if people don't laugh, I'm just like, I don't feel fulfilled.
Mm.
Like, I feel like my job is to make them, but it's also to be the character, I know. But it's
Yeah.
just like, it's like my form of validation. It's like,
Definitely.
if I did something funny and they laugh, I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
I love that feeling.
That's such a
But-
good feeling. Getting a laugh on stage is an amazing
Yeah.
feeling, dude. It's like a drug.
No, I had that in Groundlings the other day. I said something, people were like laughing so hard, and I was just like,
Are you at Groundlings now?
I am at Groundlings.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
Thank you.
Groundlings is awesome.
It's somewhere that I've wanted to go for a long time, and then I was just like, now that I'm done Stella, I have time to do it.
Yeah.
So
I've
Yeah.
I've gone to the Groundlings Theater and seen the Sunday show, the
Yeah.
Sunday Company show, and it's phenomenal. It's
Aw.
phenomenal. The house band that they have is lights out. Like it's a real pleasure. That's the only.
That's my dream, to be in the Sunday Company.
Yeah, I know that they have shows Wednesday, Thursday, Friday too.
Mhm.
Right. I've only seen the Sunday one, but I've been a few times. Actually, I have a quick little story about that.
Yeah.
So a bunch of months ago, when TikTok was gonna get banned, when it got banned for the
I
one
hated
day,
that. I was like the last one to re-get it for some reason.
So all this commotion was going on. Everyone was saying TikTok is gonna go dark at midnight. All this stuff. This was on a Saturday, and I was like, okay, I know TikTok is annoying, and I know there's a lot of useless, like mindless nonsense on there, but I enjoy it to a certain extent because I think it's a really good space for comedy sketch writers.
Yeah, and it's a great way
And
to put yourself out there.
It's a great way to put yourself out there, and the community.
That's what I use it for.
Same, and the community of like the little, like these comedy sketch writers is pretty strong. Like and you can make something of yourself like for free. like on that platform. And so I was like,
and it's a great way to get famous-ish.
Yeah, and
I've gone viral a few times, and
Same.
it's such a fun feeling. Like even the hate comments, it makes me feel like I'm being perceived.
And so I was like, this is a bummer or whatever. So I follow a bunch of comedy sketch writers on there, and I was like, I'm gonna go back and rewatch a lot of my favorite channels, and I'm watching, and one of the groups that I follow is a comedy team called Almost Friday, and I'm watching these videos, right? Because TikTok is going to be banned, and I want to like reminisce about some of these funny sketches that are really smart and are really well done, and I'm watching these videos, and then TikTok goes dark at midnight or whatever. The next day, I go to the Groundlings, the Sunday Company show.
Oh, I remember this story.
And this actress whose name is Elise Patton is performing at the Sunday Company show. I had no idea she was involved in Groundlings. She's in this comedy group, the Almost Friday, and she has all of these videos I'm watching. She's in and she's killing. And I just found it so serendipitous. The next day I go and I like see her on stage, and
everything happens for a reason. There are no coincidences.
No, I think so too. I really do. And she crushed. And I went up to her after the show, and I was like, hey, I just have to let you know I'm a big fan. Like I've been a big fan of yours forever, or for a long time. I didn't know that you performed here. She was like, oh my gosh, I have fans. Like, and it was just so wild. Like the night before, I'm watching all of my like favorite writers and actors and stuff, and she's one of them. And then the next day I see her on stage, and she was great. It was really weird. But anyway, the Groundlings is great. They're really, really good. So well, I think I'm gonna wrap up here, because you are just a lovely person. Aww. And you're I'm so glad that you're doing what you're doing, because you're meant to be doing this, and you're so talented.
So are you.
You're such a good friend, and seriously, man, I think so highly of you, and I hope that you will continue to come back on the pod.
I would love to.
I would love to have you, and thanks for coming by, man.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Of course, here's another cheer for the great and powerful Amy Rose.
And don't forget to listen to the Order of Chaos with a K.
Yeah, and before you go, actually, if for the listeners, is there anything you want to plug where they can find you online? Or
yes, there is. So my Instagram is Amy Julia Rose. All of those names are spelled the way that you think they're spelled, AMY, etc. My Spotify is Amy space Julia space Rose, so not all one word. I could have just said Amy Julia Rose; they would have gotten it. And I have TikTok, which is Amy-Rican Idol. It's like American Idol, but the E is a Y because I'm Amy-Rican Idol. I had to explain that because sometimes I'll tell people, like, I can't find you. I'm like, that's not how you spell any of those words.
Yeah.
But yeah, I forgot what I was going to say, but it has been so great to be here.
Good.
And for all of you actors out there, keep following your dreams. If people tell you that you should have a real job to fall back on, you can just smile politely and then keep acting, because acting's the best.
Yeah, acting's the best. And you're the best.
You're the best.
There's the best. Okay. Well, thanks for coming on. I love ya.
I love you too.
Bye.
Bye.